I'm Orsa from Agile HR Analytics, and I'm sitting here with Dr. Philip Gibbs. We're going to talk about some top challenges and lessons learned from implementing a people analytics solution. So please, Philip, do you want to share some of your insights?
Thank you. So I'd start with, I think, one of the first challenges I often hear about is where do you start? I think it can be quite overwhelming when you're just starting out on this journey. Often feels like you're trying to boil an ocean. And look, there's a lot of maturity models out there, a lot of frameworks. So I think for me, my first tip would be really just focusing on trying to get those fundamentals, the basics right, and really focusing on what I call kind of core HR data reporting. So typically this would come from your HRIS or your human resource management system, and really just getting some of those basics right. And I think ultimately what we're trying to do is generate actionable insights. So with the limited resources that you have, I think you really have to prioritize whatever you're investing time and energy in. You want to ensure that people are actually, following through and actually achieving the desired change that you would hope to see in the business. So that's kind of where I would first start.
Yeah, for sure. Would you say it's fair to say that traditionally a lot of HR data is quite reactive?
Yes, absolutely. I think by the very nature, if you think about your, in-system reporting, it is very retrospectively looking at the data. I think we have kind of often trying to understand the where things have come from, and we react to those. I think, and what a lot of the excitement is around analytics is, well, how can we start to predict and preempt some of the things that are heading our way and be more strategic as opposed to react to things that have already happened. And in doing so, it's kind of moving away from what I'd say is your descriptive analytics to more prescriptive analytics. Yeah, so I think that's where the opportunity is. But I think it all has to be grounded ultimately in really understanding your customer. I think, HR as a function, we're here to support the business. I think for me, the strategy ultimately is the business strategy, and HR's role is how we're enabling the execution of that strategy. What are those key, strategic people levers that we need to pull in order to deliver on that? I think, working very closely with your HR business partners is really important, because they're the window into the business. Once you start to get a sense around the data and the reporting, I think it's really important to overlay the context to that. And again, the strategic narrative that helps interpret, well, is this expected or not expected? Is this a good or a bad thing? And also, what are those key decision forums where those conversations are happening? So for instance, how is HR data and reporting being used to inform your board meetings, to your executive leadership team meetings, to some of those kind of, you might have working groups around, diversity, inclusion. So I think, really understanding where are those decision forums, what information is being used to inform that, and again, what action is being taken, and I think, again, working very closely with your HR business partners is key to ensure that the messaging is being tailored, that insight is ultimately driving, the action, and you can follow through and evaluate, well, was it having the desired impact or not? And look, I would just say, as a finishing point, I think, Agile Analytics can really help with this as a solution, in my experience. It's helped consolidate a lot of the siloed data. If you think about HR as a function, it's often built off functional silos. Each silo tends to have its own system of record, and they don't often talk to each other, and there's a real lack of integration of these things coming together. So I think being able to consolidate a lot of that siloed data into kind of one platform, overlaying, the predefined metrics and storytelling and visualizations, I think is incredibly powerful. And it really has helped me and my teams accelerate our journey. I mean, yes, you may have the capability, but building these kind of products, it does take a lot of time and resource and effort to do that. So I think, again, it's giving teams the agility to actually accelerate some of those journeys. And as I say, kind of that means that we can then start to focus on generating more of the prescriptive insights and as you say, driving decisions in those kind of forums and so forth. So yeah, so I think for me, they're probably some of my top tips that would come to mind.
Absolutely. I think those are great tips, and I hope you think so too. And we'll be back next time.